Hello, Beardy Cook, back again. It's been a while, I know. Sorry. But the nice people at Lighthouse in Perth got in contact, wanted me to do a challenge video for you. So, here we go. What the instruction was this time, it's not a give or take box one. What they've given me is a budget of £5 and they wanted a meal for 2 people. I'm not very good at shopping. I have blown the budget, so it came in at £6.50. But it's not just a meal. I've got a starter, a main meal, and a pudding. And proof's in the pudding, so if I just do this. So this is my receipt. So £6.74 at the bottom there, but what I've done is I've discounted the 25p for the bag. So that brings me in at £6.49. And if we have a little look over here, this is all the ingredients I got. So we've got spag, got a bit of beef mince, mozzarella, chili powder, onion, garlic, you can see what all these things are, self-raising flour, angel light is the pudding. I love it. What I'm going to be doing is doing it with yoghurt for a slightly more adult taste. So on the menu today we're going to have patatas bravas, kind of like a spicy tomatoey potato dish for a starter. Going to do spag bowl, going to make some garlic bread with cheeses. And if there's any leftovers, you can also have a chili con carne. So, on with the show. Right then, so for garlic bread, what we're going to be using is garlic, mug of flour, and yoghurt. Just bring it into a dough. What I'm going to do is take a couple of cloves of garlic, smash them up, cut them down, mix them in with the flour, bit of salt, bit of yoghurt, and then make a bread. It's going to be about the size of my chopping board, flattened out, bits of cheese on top, banged in the oven. Simple as. So, crack on. Right, so garlic prep, dead easy. Get your garlic on the board, knife flat on top, give it some of that, and then just fingers out the way, run your knife through, and then squash it down, and run your knife through. Simple as. Put that to one side, and now we'll make the bread dough. Right, so I've got a mug of flour in the bottom of my big bowl here. Put in a big pinch of salt or two, and then here's the garlic we've just prepared. Chuck that in, and just give that a good mix. Make sure it's all evenly through so you don't get one big blob of garlic and nobody else gets any in. And then dust your hands off, and then add some yoghurt. So I'm going to add about that much. And then grab a wooden spoon and just start stirring. What you'll see is this will start to come together as a dough, and you can cover yourself in it. Once it gets to there, if you need to dive in with your hands just to make sure it comes together properly, best way to do it. So, clean off your finger, obviously after washing your hands. If you need to add a bit more flour, do, but this should be about right. So what you're doing, bringing it all together until the bowl's fairly clean, your fingers are fairly clean, and then you don't really need to knead this. It's not a risen dough, you're not waiting for yeast to activate or anything else. So once it's come together in a nice ball, like that, bowl is clean. Fingers aren't too bad. Right, and then just pop that to one side. Right, so next I'm going to get the tomato sauce on. For that I'm just going to take half the onion and just run the knife through it. I've got a pan behind me on the hob on medium heat. It's got a teaspoon of oil in the bottom, just to stop everything sticking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dice these. But if you'd like it a bit chunkier, do it a bit chunkier. It doesn't matter. Right, so I'll use the other half for something else in a minute. Nothing will go to waste here. So what I'm going to do is put that in the pan now that it's hot. Leave it for about 5 minutes to sweat. Then I'm going to add some garlic. Do it the same way as before. Once the garlic's done, in with the 2 cans of tomatoes, and we'll see you there. Right, so the onions have been on about 2-3 minutes. They've started to sweat down. You can smell them in the air. So now I'm going to add 3 crushed cloves of garlic and a pinch of salt. So over we go. Right, so that's the onions in. I've just put the garlic in, and now a good pinch of salt. If you've got some pepper as well, throw that in. Just give it a stir around. This is going to be slightly orange because I'm using a slightly different oil. There's a Ponzi one I found at the back of the cupboard I didn't realise I'd bought, to be fair. What you want here is to make sure the heat's nice and low so the garlic doesn't burn, it just cooks. If it burns, it will go bitter and horrible. So I've got, my hob goes to 6, I've got this on 3. So nice and low, you'll begin to smell the garlic. Then we're going to grate some carrot, chuck that in, then 2 cans of tomatoes on top. So, back in a minute. So, carrot, speed peeler. These things are great. They're not expensive, and they make real light work of peeling stuff. You can also use them for doing fancy stuff like putting ribbons of carrot in salads, that kind of thing. Why am I putting carrot in? Well, it adds sweetness, good source of veg, and it's fun to grate a carrot. Why do I not put them in whole? Basically, I don't like lumps of carrot. And boiled carrots from when I was young. Yeah. And this way's quick. So there we go, 1 carrot, grated. So I'm going to chuck that in the sauce, give it a good stir, and then add the tomatoes. Right, so that's the carrot gone in. So first tin. Second tin. And then just give it a good stir up. This is where you can begin to customise. If you've got some herbs that you want to put in there. Some oregano, basil, marjoram, thyme, anything you fancy, bit of rosemary. Fresh or dried, doesn't matter. If you want to stick some chili powder in here now, if you like that kind of thing, go right ahead, you're eating it. So what you need to do, let this come to a simmer, let it thicken up. If you think it needs to be a bit more tomatoey, a good tip here is a little squirt of ketchup. But always taste it as you're going along, see if the salt's right, see if the pepper's right, make sure that you like it, you're going to be eating it after all. Right, so patatas bravas, which is going to be your starter. I'm going to take your bacon potato here and attempt to peel it. Oh, it's putting up a fight. But we shall overcome. I've never met a potato I couldn't peel yet. Here we go. Doesn't need to be neat, because it's not going to be. So once you've done that, all we've got to do is cut it into kind of like bite-sized lumps, and then we're going to partially cook it in boiling water. So I've got another pan on the hob with water going, plenty of salt in it to season it. And you don't want it too mushy, you're not making mash. What you're going to do then is combine it with a bit of the tomato sauce, a bit of chili powder for flavour, and fry it up so it goes nice and stodgy. Simple. So, right, so while everything else is going on, this is going to be your pudding. It's a bit of a cop out, but love Angel Delight. So it's the Angel Delight got in, and then it's about 300 ml of cold milk, but I'm using the yoghurt. So you're going to get like a strawberry flavoured yoghurt. Again, you can start to adapt this any way you want. If you think it's not sweet enough, add some sugar. If you want some fruit in there, some broken up chocolate. Obviously, strawberries would go well. So just give this a good stir around, make sure everything's combined. If it looks a bit thick, you can always add a glug of milk. And basically, you just leave it to set. What you want to do, if you're cooking everything in the same room, is just put a bit of cling film over the top so it doesn't absorb the flavours of your tomato sauce behind. Little taste. Yeah. So bring that down into the centre. Doesn't matter if there's a couple of lumps, it's the best bit. Grab a knife. Now you can always use your finger to do this, and then you get to clean your finger. Like my mum always used to let me lick the beaters when she'd be doing a cake. So there we go. Slightly more adult take on your Angel Delight, slight bit of sourness in there. Complements the sweet strawberry flavour. Sounds poncy as hell, but it does work. Now if you're having a romantic evening, you can always pop these into wine glasses to set. A little bit of strawberry on top. Knock his or her socks off. Tell them it's a strawberry mousse. What you've made. I'll just run out of cling film. Awesome. See me down B&M's tomorrow, looking for cling film. Right, so that's that covered up. That can sit to one side. That is dessert done. Right, so the potatoes are on the boil. I'm just going to chop up the tomato, it's an onion. Chop up the onion for the mince to go in the spag bowl. What I'm going to do is cook the mince and the onion in a pan together. And then, once the mince is cooked up a bit, add some sauce. Simple. Now, because this is going in with the beef, I'm going a bit chunkier. I'm not dicing, nothing fancy. Boosh, done. What you also need to do when you're using this cheese is drain it. So I'm just going to pop it in a sieve over the sink, and then it'll drain, just like magic. Right, so this is the state of play at the moment. Got the sauce on, that's boiling. Got the potatoes, they're nearly done. How do you know they're nearly done? Well, you grab, changing hands and being all delicate, a knife, stick it in. It feels squidgy, probably done. And then I've got a pan of oil on. That's going to be for frying the potatoes off. But you need to make sure you turn the right one off. Not sure what I have. Find out in a minute. But before you put your potatoes in hot oil, they are dry. So colander over the sink and just leave them as steam dry. If you put wet things in with hot oil, you're going to get splatters. It's going to be a mess. So, yeah, I've left the right one on. So I'll come back when I'm ready to cook. Right, so the potatoes are steam dry. Pan is on and warm, so they're going to go in. And then just give them a wee sugar to get coated in the oil. And then you're going to want to hit them with a good pinch of salt. Make sure everybody gets covered. And then a good dusting of chilli powder, and then a spoon of tomato sauce. Right, so the potatoes on, I'm going to get a good pinch of chilli powder. Make sure everybody gets a bit. And then we just need to give that a sugar. Make sure everything's coated properly, nothing's sticking. And then just ladle some sauce over the top. Again, if you're thinking to customise the dish, you can throw some herbs in, some garlic. If you've got different chilli powders or different chilli flakes that you want to add, perfect. Just 2 scoops of that. And then give it a sugar, give it a stir. Make sure everything's nice and coated. And what you want to do, just fry everything off now until the potatoes are nice and crispy and the sauce is thickened. So give that about another 5 minutes. And serve into 2 little bowls and go and eat. Sweet. Right, so here we go. These are almost done. As you can see, the sauce is thickened up beautifully. Yeah, everything's nice and sticking to the potatoes. As I said, if you want to customise these, a bit of crispy bacon, that'd be nice. What I've also done up here is turn the heat end of this sauce off. This one's pretty much done, so that's nice and thick, as you can see. That's going to go beautifully with the beef tomato spag bol. So I'm going to serve this up. What I'm going to do, check the seasoning first, make sure everything's salted and peppered properly. I can taste everything. So if you need a little bit more tomato flavour, quick squirt of ketchup. If it's feeling a bit bland, try a bit of salt. If you like a bit of spice in there, a bit of pepper. If you like a bit of heat, add a bit more chilli powder, stir it through. Job's good. So there you have it. 2 little bowls of healthy, heartwarming joy. I could ponce it up and cover it in some chopped herbs, but I don't really think it needs it. It just needs a fork. So I'm going to go and eat, and I'll see you on the other side. Right, so that is the starters done and consumed. Very nice. Had a thought while I was doing that, if you put some smoked paprika in there, if you've got some of that, that would be gorgeous. So, this is the onion gone in for the spag bol. What I'm going to do is just flip this about in some hot oil. Just break it up a bit. And then it is in with the mince. Hot tip, always make sure you take the paper off. A friend of mine once tried to cook burgers with the paper on. It did not go well. Now, what I'm looking for here, depending on the fat content of your beef, is just to brown it slightly, get rid of some of the water. And you'll see this is a 500 gram pack, so there's quite a lot of mince here. So half of this is going to go on today's spag bol, and then the other half, if you add some chilli powder to it, a tin of kidney beans, you've got yourself a chili con carne tomorrow. Serve it over ice, awesome. Nachos, bit of cheese, you've got another yoghurt left over, put a blob of that on top of it, yeah. Right, so that's everything mixed in, so I'm just going to hit that with a good pinch of salt and a good pinch of pepper, which I shall do in just a minute. Once that's gone brown, what I'll do, chuck the sauce over it, let that come together while I cook some pasta. So as you're cooking the mince, you want it to go brown, so you want it on a fairly high heat, and what you're looking to do is get rid of all this liquidy stuff here. You can see it gathering around the edge. As that begins to evaporate off, sling in the sauce. What you also want to do at this point is get your oven on, get it on as high as you can, ready for your garlic bread. Right, so that's mince starts to dry out nice, so just slap this on top. Give it a good stir around. So, make sure all the mince and taste the tomatoes, and then just turn the heat down just under halfway. So I've got mine on 3 of 6. If you think it's looking a bit dry and you've got another can of tomatoes handy, sling that in. And just let that cook down. Right, so I've quickly scrubbed out the sauce pot and filled it 3/4 way full of water. Good amount of salt in. And that's going to be for cooking the pasta. You do not put oil in there, it will float at the top, the pasta will be at the bottom, absolutely no point. When that comes to the boil, throw in some spaghetti. I would give you advice on how much, but I always get it wrong and cook too much. So I'm going to make a start on the bread. So I've got some flour on my chopping board here. Just smooth that out. Take my dough out of my bowl. Dust it both sides with the flour and then just push it out with your hand. Use a rolling pin here, but I don't really think it matters too much. Just give it a pinch, give it a squeeze. So if anybody asks, you can say, yeah, I hand stretched my garlic bread. So, you want it fairly thin. Doesn't matter if you get any little holes in it. Make it any shape you want, which is good because this is pretty much all of them. Give it some of that. Turn it over. So what I'm going to be cooking this on briefly is I'm going to put a baking sheet on the hob, let the bottom crisp up, and then put it in the hot oven that's preheated. To make it extra luxurious, I've got this little ball of mozzarella. I'm just pulling off little bits and decorating the top slightly with them. I'm going to save some of this for the pasta. So that's enough of that. Now to make it fancy, you can sprinkle on a little touch of ground black pepper. And if you've got it hanging around, just a couple of flakes of sea salt. If you don't worry about it. This is just me being a bit fancy. So I'm going to slip that onto a baking sheet lined with tin foil and stick that on the hob just to crisp the bottom. You'll see it puff up and then we'll slide it into the oven. So this is the bread. I've just put it on a baking sheet lined with tin foil and now I've just got it on a hot hob. See the pasta water in the background is boiling. That's my bolognese, that's doing nice, doesn't need any more tomatoes, so that's good. What you want to make sure you're doing at this point as well is tasting it, make sure the seasoning's right, make sure you've got enough salt and pepper in there. Again, if it just tastes a bit bland, try adding some salt. If you've got anything like some balsamic vinegar, throw a bit of that through it. And this is the bread. Right, so that's the pasta cooked. What you want is just a little bit of that water left in. Sling that in there. Now I'm going to use about, move out the shadow, half of that in that, and then top it with some mozzarella. The garlic bread came out of the oven. It was about 5-10 minutes in there just to do it until it's golden. So that, with the cheese on top, has gone just how I expected it to. So I'll show you it dished up in a minute, and bon appetito. Oh, I'm steaming up. Look at that. Right, so there you go. That's spag bowl with garlic bread. You've got half a load of meat and sauce left over, so I'm going to add some chilli powder to that tomorrow. Tin of kidney beans. Gosh. And there we are to finish. 2 bowls of strawberry flavoured yoghurt, Angel Delight stuff, but it's all good. So that was that. Cooking for the Lighthouse in Perth. They're doing some marvellous work. If you can, support them. Not a lot else for me to say really. I'm just going to go and enjoy the rest of my tea. See you next time.